Hey folks, welcome back to the channel. This is Jason, and this is the first video I've made in a very long time with my face showing in it. Basically, I stopped doing that because it's a little bit easier to edit all of my various mistakes without showing my face in the video, since I tend to stutter more while I'm doing this. So let's talk about the Israeli-Hamas conflict right now. And I want to do this from an economic perspective because there's going to be a lot of worry over nothing. So I'm not going to get into the politics of the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. What I really want to talk about right now is oil prices and oil supply and how that's going to affect us at home and how it's all kind of BS. And let me explain why. There is no threat to oil supply at this point, and there really is extremely unlikely going to be one in the future because the nature of the Middle East has changed since the last time the Israeli-Palestinian conflict actually threatened the world's oil supply. So neither the Palestinians nor the Israelis produce any amount of crude that's going to affect global supply in any way. Neither one of them can either politically or physically threaten the oil supply of the world. And what we're really talking about is shipping through the Suez Canal. So the Palestinians probably don't have the manpower to do anything other than send drones to the Suez Canal, which definitely could cause some problems, but they aren't likely to do that because Egypt is one of their largest trading partners. In fact, it's kind of their only regular trading partner at this point. The other thing is that Israel and Egypt have been at peace, if not friends, since 1979, since the Camp David Accords were signed. And Egypt actually has pretty strong military cooperation with the United States that includes use of Egyptian airfields. And they have a partial security guarantee when it comes to shipping through the Suez Canal, which has been in place since 1956 and wasn't honored in 1967. But we tend to honor our security guarantees these days like we're doing with Ukraine. So the other end of that likelihood is all of the bilateral agreements that Israel has with its neighbors. The only neighbor that it has that's actually an enemy at this point is Lebanon. They are technically enemies, but they have, at least the Lebanese government has no desire to go to war. Hezbollah, which is an organization that controls a significant portion of Lebanon and some of the political capital in Lebanon as well, might force some engagement. They've tried to force some engagement, probably with the backing of Iran, but the reality is I don't believe they actually want conflict with Israel at this time. They've been satisfied since 2006 to occasionally lob a few rockets over the border and act really tough. But the reality is I think they're just enjoying doing business as usual and living a regular life because the major goals of Hezbollah have actually been accomplished. Israel has left all of southern Lebanon. Now they claim to have, some claim on this area called Sheba Farms, which technically actually belongs to Syria and not to Lebanon. And let's talk about Syria for a minute. There is no government able to respond or join in a conflict against Israel at this point. They have their hands full with their own insurrection. Jordan also signed an agreement in 1991, I believe, with Israel, and they have not been at war since then. Between the neighbors, Egypt and Jordan, there's actually a lot of economic cooperation as well, and there's security cooperation between the two countries to fight, or between the three countries rather, to fight Islamic extremism in its many varied forms. So there really regionally isn't the same environment that there was back in the 1970s. Capability-wise, Israel doesn't have the same ability to threaten Suez Canal shipping like it did in the past. Egypt is unlikely to shut off Suez Canal shipping to the west like they've done a couple of times in the past as well. The possibility of an oil embargo is actually pretty slim as well, and that has a lot to do with what's going on right now in Ukraine, and that also has to do with the cutback in production that's already been instituted by OPEC. So none of the fears that oil traders have right now about markets are likely to come true. And so really, there are two things that drive markets for oil in normal times, and that is supply and demand. But you have this larger interest in oil, which is fear and greed which tends to leak into oil supplies and oil markets all the time and tends to distort them. And that's what's happening right now. We're getting a little distortion of the oil markets based on fear. And to an extent, greed. Trust me, there are oil futures traders that are absolutely taking advantage of this right now, and they're going to continue to do this as long as there's enough fear injected into the market. Anyway, that's all I wanted to say for this quick little video. Hope you guys don't mind seeing my face. Anyway, I'll see you guys next time, and have a nice day.